Good sunny Friday morning to you. It is 8:25 as we head into another summer weekend, a sunny summer weekend up ahead for the majority of it. Lots of people are out and about. They're spending time at concerts, outdoor festivals, and that's why we've brought in Dr. Joseph Finkler from, you're an emergency room doc at St. Paul's.
Correct.
And we're talking about staying safe and healthy at these festivals. Often you're at them, you're there for several hours, sometimes several days, and there are many things that we need to keep in mind when we're out there, correct?
Right. Yeah, one of the most important things is hydration and then protection against hyperthermia or overexposure to the sun and getting your body temperature above what's tolerable.
So what are some of the signs we should be looking for as far as recognizing that we're feeling these effects?
So people talk about this syndrome called heat stroke, and the hallmark of heat stroke is confusion or central nervous system dysfunction, and then abnormal behavior, agitation, and then, of course, if we could measure the temperature, it would be about 40 degrees Celsius.
Your body temperature?
Your body temperature, which is above the limits of which most people can compensate and function.
So as far as observing someone externally, if you saw someone that could be suffering from heat stroke, that's what you're looking for as well?
They might be confused and maybe even agitated or drowsy or look like they're about to faint.
Now, how do we prevent this? Of course, lots of water, but is there anything else we should be doing?
Obviously you can wear a protective gear like a hat or something that would shield you directly from the sun, or you can move around. And then the water is a sort of a tricky thing. You want to have adequate hydration, but you don't want to overhydrate because what can happen is if you drink excessive amounts of water that are in excess of the sweating or the water that you're losing, you can actually drop your sodium, and that can change your level of consciousness, cause seizures, coma, that sort of thing.
Interesting. And in my personal experience, there's not easy access to washrooms at a lot of these facilities, and I think people hold back on drinking excessively, at least amounts of water, because there's no washroom within miles often of where you're located, or you're stuck in the middle of a big crowd.
Yeah, and sometimes you're stuck against a fence, like at the some of the parades and stuff like that, and so you actually can't access water even if you wanted to. Your bottle's empty.
What about drug use or excessive alcohol use? How's that affecting people out there?
So, alcohol is probably the most common drug that people use, and excessive amounts of alcohol. One alcohol can lower your blood pressure because it dilates the blood vessels, and second of all, it actually causes you to urinate more than normal. It's like a diuretic, if you want to think of it that way.
So that's dehydrating you as well.
Yeah, even though you think that you're rehydrating, actually, if a lot of it's going into your kidneys and filtered into the bladder, and then of course with the sun dilating the blood vessels so you can lose heat, alcohol exacerbates that, and some people will faint. And so you'll see the people drinking away in the hot sun, and some will feel lightheaded and faint.
And a lot of these festivals are, they're festivals for beer or wine or things like that, where you're going there to drink.
Right, exactly. So again, like everything else in life, moderation. I think some of the biggest risks comes when people or younger population go to these music festivals and use recreational drugs, mixing them with alcohol and whatever. That can be sometimes problematic. Now,
Doctor, you've brought a Naloxone kit with you here?
Yeah, this is just a kit. I mean, this would be unlikely, I would think, at the beer and food and wine festivals, but maybe at some of these mass gatherings for music festivals where there'd be recreational drugs, including opiates like heroin and fentanyl. And so I think if you want to use that stuff, or you have to use that stuff, you should have someone or yourself have an Lockstone kit, which immediately reverses the effects of opiate overdose.
If you can unzip that, how do we use it?
Yeah, sure. So inside here, it contains syringes, gloves, and inside this pill bottle is actually the medication Naloxone. It's in a vial. It has to be taken out. The cap has to be broken off. You have to poke it with a needle, draw back the fluid, and inject someone in the arm, in the thigh, in the bum, anywhere, and get the whole dose in.
And then you should see relatively immediate reversal of the symptoms?
Yeah, and the signs, obviously, of an opiate overdose, people are unconscious, they may not be breathing adequately, they may be pale and sweaty, and you'll see a response within a couple of minutes, if that's what's causing it. But sometimes people mix it up.
Are there incidents of accidental naloxone injections where someone's suffering from something totally different? And is that dangerous?
No, not at all. In fact, sometimes in the emergency department, we don't know what people are overdosed on when they're unconscious or comatose, and we'll give them naloxone. It has zero. It can have no adverse effects. The only adverse effect it can is if you're on an opiate high, it will reverse the effects, and if you're a chronic user, you'll feel terrible. You'll come into acute withdrawal.
But if you're not, it's
no
not
harm.
dangerous.
No harm, and we give this routinely in people that are comatose we think might have a toxic ingestion.
Excellent information. Thanks so much, Doctor, for coming in.
No problem. Anytime.
All right.
Be safe.
Yeah, be safe. That's a great message.